influence you beyond just being a source of entertainment. It has the power to touch a person deeply and bring about that inner transformation. So today's topic is how to fear less and live more. So I'm going to touch upon a few points on that. So I think one of the phrases which I strongly believe in is that you don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. So I think a lot of women are nodding their heads here. So sometimes you're put into situations which ordinarily you can't fathom that you would be able to deal with. But if you don't have a choice and you're in that situation, you will find a way to deal with it. So let's take a little bit a look at fear. Where does that come from and what can we do to deal with it in our lives so that we can live a life where we hold our heads up high and go into any situation fearless. So I'm going to talk about 2 points in my life where I experienced such a situation and how I overcame that. So the first point was I actually am an IT engineer, so I was trained in computer engineering, and I embarked on a career which took me to America on work, where I was working with a high-end fashion retailer, and I decided at some point in my journey that this is not my life's calling, and I would like to do something in my life where I can work directly with people and use my gift of music to connect with people. So I decided to take this bold decision to quit my job. And for everybody, for those of you who are Indian and from a lot of other countries, the dream is to go to, like once you go to America, like most Indians will like, you go there, you settle there, don't come back. You're earning in US dollars and $1 is equal to like 75 Indian rupees. So who wants to like, come back to India and work? But so a lot of people questioned me when my friends, my family, and a lot of people in my life basically told me that you're nuts. And you've got such a great opportunity, not many people get to go to America and work, and why would you do something like that? So I was very afraid of taking that leap of faith. Because when you take a leap of faith into the unknown, it's like I went, and what changed my life at that point was I decided to go skydiving. And I was like, man, I'm in America, I have to do skydiving, because nobody trusts like the skydiving people in India, like the security standards and all. Like, okay. Anyway, so I decided to go to America and do skydiving there. And the minute I entered, I saw the sign right in front of me that says, take risks not to escape life, but to prevent life from escaping. Which again, I'll repeat that, it said, take risks not to escape life, but to prevent life from escaping. And suddenly, like at that moment, like everything fell into place, and I had to sign this whole like waiver which described like 15 ways I was going to die. And I had to say, I'm okay with this, man. Like I'm saying that I'm giving you my permission that if I fall out of the plane and I'm mangled in wires, it's not your fault. And I take responsibility. So while signing this thing, we went up in that plane and it was time to jump. And I was like, till then I was really enjoying that, oh, I'm like in a plane, I'm going to jump into the air and skydive. The moment when the door of the plane opened and I was standing there and it was just me and nothing and like 10,000 feet of nothingness below me, that's when I was afraid. And I was like, oh my God, and every instinct in my body was saying, don't jump, because it's like you're jumping, you could die. But the minute, the guy behind me was like, if you don't jump, I'm going to push you out. So I was like, okay. So I closed my eyes and I just leaped. And the moment I did that, the sense of like pure exhilaration which was there, I'll never forget that adrenaline rush that stayed with me for the next 2 weeks. And I realized that in our own lives, what is it that's stopping you from taking that one leap of faith from where you are to where you could be? What is that one thing that's stopping you? Because the minute you realize, and that's the fear of the unknown. And where does that fear come from? It either comes from imagined, like a past experience, say like, oh, somebody's done this before and they've died, so I could die, right? So something that comes from the past, or what could happen to me if, imagine scenarios in your mind happen. So you imagine scenarios that could happen to you. So your fear is either coming from the past or the future. So imagine that this is your past and this is your future, and the minute, and this is your mind that's flitting about from your past to the future, from the past to the future, and the minute you drop both of these, you're still, right? And that's the secret. When you're in the present and you own your present moment, you just think about what am I going to do in this instant, and not like think about what happened or what could happen, what will they say, I'm a failure, I failed before, can I really do this? Our own inner critic, we have to silence that, because sometimes that can be your biggest critic, is not other people, but what you're telling yourself inside. And the minute you just drop that and look at what is it I can do in just this moment, carpe diem, you seize that, just that moment. That's when you have no fear. And that's when you can like live fearless with anything. The second thing is that, so one was this, so that's when I decided, I went back and I decided that I had given my letter of resignation, and I decided to come back to India and start, performing as a musician. And I also started doing experiments with sound, and then we decided to start my journey as an entrepreneur over here. And of course, it's not easy, and leaving a cushy job, and all of you are entrepreneurs here, so I'm so sure you've been through that journey yourself. But I think that if you're a caterpillar, and if you don't want to become a butterfly, you know that you have to accept change, you have to embrace change to want to become a butterfly. So I think part of the journey is knowing that just because you're a caterpillar, don't think that you're going to be a caterpillar the rest of your life. If you don't embrace change, you'll never know that you can fly. And so that the secret of embracing change, living in the moment. The second thing which I was afraid of was a toxic relationship I was in. And I'm sure like at some point in our lives, for the average woman, everyone has been through some form of a relationship which you're afraid to step out of, because especially in India there's a whole stigma around divorce and around, oh my god, you're like second-hand goods if you're divorced, or if you've been in a relationship and you're abusive. It's like men are like that, just deal with it, right? I know we had a really heavy topic right before this, so I don't want to get to, but this is the reality, unfortunately, that a lot of people will stay quiet about what they're going through because they want everyone to think they're leading a perfect life, and they would rather not accept that, it's okay if something's not going your way, having the courage to step out of it. And I think that the whole journey of me going from being afraid to stepping out was when I recognized my sense of self-worth. And that is something that's so important for all of us as women, is to recognize your value as a person. And if anybody in this world can't respect that or doesn't see that in you, then you ask them to wear glares if they can't take your shine. If you're shining too bright, you wear the sunglasses, I'm not going to stop shining, right? So let's all give all of you wonderful women a round of applause for that. So I think owning the courage to overcome that fear and step out of any relationship or at anybody in your life is making you feel that's toxic for yourself, is to recognize and acknowledge and honor your value as an individual. And the minute you start loving yourself and respecting your own self, you'll notice that everybody in your life will be doing that, and the ones who don't do that, they don't deserve to be in your life anyway. So own and acknowledge that. So just to summarize, so then I decided to step out of that relationship, and I found myself growing in a lot of ways, and I decided that I'm going to be kind to myself, and that has definitely helped me grow as a person and to live a more a life that's more free and where I can be myself and live without fear. Because I think more than your relationship with anybody else, it's your relationship with your own self that's so important, and that we so often, we let other people dictate how we should be feeling, or we give our power to other people. Then it's like you're a puppet, like in the hands of other people's words and their actions. But the minute you're at peace and you're centered and you have a beautiful relationship with your own self, then nothing else matters. And when you come from that space of clarity, there's this saying in Hindi which says, "Sabse bada rog kya kahenge log," which means that the biggest disease is what will people say. Before we do anything, we're like, "Log kya kahenge?" That means what are people gonna say? But none of that matters when your relationship with yourself and what you're saying is true and you're authentic to your own self. We all are capable, and we all have that inner spark and that beauty inside all of us that we often don't acknowledge. So my only learning from my own journey would be that, stand in front of the mirror today when you go back home and look at your own self and say, "I love you." Say your name and say, "I love you, I really, really love you." And just do that. And this is what Louis Hay recommends. Many of you have heard of Louis Hay, read. Do that, and if you sense an emotion, that means that there is some part of you which you haven't accepted yet and which you need to work on. So when you are able to look at yourself in the mirror without flinching and smiling and looking at that person, embracing that every part of that person, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, that's when you know that your relationship with yourself is authentic. And there's this beautiful song by India Ari, so I'm going to sing a few lines for you. Okay? So it's called "I Am Light." Yes. Who's heard it? Can we all sing it together? Yeah? Okay. I am light, I am light. So let's all sing that line. I am light, I am light. Let's go. I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the things, voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. Everybody together. I am light, I am light. Let's put our hands together. Everybody. I am light, I am light. And louder, let's go. I am light, I am light. Again. I am light, I am light. I am not the color of my skin. You know the song, right? I want you to come and sing it with me. She knows the song.
I know the chorus, but I'll sing.
Yeah, so please come and sing it because I would love to sing it. Everybody give it up for. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have those here?
No. Get somebody who can get it. Who can give us a cell phone?
It's not yeah, so the lyrics.
Yeah, then we sing it together, everybody. If I have time, I have time.
You guys, you know how in church they'll read the line.
Yeah, so everybody who has a cell phone, you can bring the lyrics up on the phone and somebody give it to us also.
Fantastic.
Ebo. This is Ebo from Nigeria?
Yes.
Yes. Alright.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Oops.
Everybody has the lyrics. Just put I am light lyrics in here.
Okay, so like internet is slow here, but okay, so let's all sing it together, those who have the lyrics. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the broken.
darkness inside. I am light.
Everybody, let's go on that.
I am light. I am light.
Everybody,
I am light. I am light. I am not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light.
one last time together.
I am light. I am light. I am light.
And now let's sing it like really softly.
I am light. I am light.
And really acknowledging that inside.
I am light. I am light.
Give it up for a beautiful singer.
We are afraid to make a certain choice because of an outcome that we're afraid of, instead of what we truly want in life. So really, what are the chances of living more, right? See, now I know we don't go around saying, oh, I'm afraid to be adventurous, I'm afraid to do whatever I dream of. We don't say I'm scared. We may not use those words on a daily basis, right? But you say I'm nervous. You say, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have time. I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know how to say I'm sorry. I'm so anxious, I'm so anxious. All of this points to some kind of fear stopping you. And the truth is, fear is useful. It is useful. If a lion like strolled in here right now, I'm sure everybody's heart would be palpitating. Some people would be sweating, right? And you know to either flight, and some people would freeze, right? But what's so interesting also is your body's reaction to fear is the same, whether it's a lion coming in here or I ask somebody to come and sing up here, right? If I ask somebody, well, come to this talk right here, they're going to, the heart, everything's sweating. Same thing. This is because our brain is wired to protect us. It's almost like wired to kind of work against us at the same time. So fear is a protective glove for you. However, as it protects you, it keeps you from being your best self. It stands in between you and your greatness. So I'm all about practicality, and I'm like wanting to move out to the front here. But I'm all about practicality. I want to share with you a tool that has been a game changer in my life and the life of my clients. So I am Bissy McGregor, and I help people live a more fearless life rooted in freedom and abundance. All right? So this tool I borrowed from my mentor, Rhonda Britton. It's called Stretch, Risk, and Die. If you have a pen and paper, you might want to jot this down. So what it's going to look like, is 3 circles, a bullseye, and 2 circles around it. So essentially you have big, bigger, biggest. And I will pause for a second. Can you come here? Okay, thank you. So it's going to be a bullseye and 2 circles around it. Big, bigger, biggest. Got it? All right. So when you're thinking about that thing you want to do more of, that area of your life you want to shift, think about that bullseye, and I'm going to kind of use this big thing. So that bullseye is in the center piece. That is life as it is right now. That's what's called your comfort zone. That's your life as you walked in. So if you said you wanted to travel more, what does that look like today? How much traveling do you do today? You know, that's your comfort zone. Now, just because it's called comfort doesn't mean it's cushy. It's just familiar. And it's based on your conditioning, your programming. That's it. That's your comfort zone, right? And we all know everything that we want more of lives outside of your comfort zone. So the next level, the next circle that's outside of the comfort zone is called the stretch zone. This is where we build our self-confidence, our self-esteem, and this is also where we beat ourselves up the most. Because it contains things that you know you can do, you just don't do them. Does that make sense?
If we don't do that, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is out of fear.
Okay. That's an interesting perspective. So, it's easy, it's not hard to do, the things that are in this area, but you don't do them. Okay? Then the next level is called the risk zone. That area it takes some courage. You're not sure if it will work or not work. It carries this risk of failure, rejection, I don't know. That's the risk zone. Then all of this, that outside space, outside of those three circles, is what we call the die zone. And it feels like that, like you're going to die physically or emotionally. Like Pragna, you get here saying skydiving. Someone's gonna be like, are you crazy? People literally die doing that. I am out of here. That's the way a die zone feels for you.
There's one fourth one.
Okay.
Which is your unique way to handle it.
Awesome. And you can share it maybe after this. Awesome. So here's the thing. You come up with your goal, what it is you want to do more of, the area of your life you want to shift, and craft out what your comfort zone looks like. What is it today? What does it look like? And I like to tell people, come up with 3 things in your stretch zone. Come up with things that you know you can do. You're just not doing them. I want to travel more. What does that mean? Could you travel domestically? Is it a 2-hour drive? I want to eat healthier. I want to lose 10 pounds by X month. Could you eat better? Could you eat 2 servings of vegetables every week or every day? Whatever that thing is that you know you can do, it's easy. What are those things? 3 things. Then the risk zone. I say come up with 2 things. That's it. It's a little courage. Maybe it's going to get a certified trainer who's going to wake you up at 4:30 in the morning to go work out. And you're like, I don't know. It could be hard, right? And then one die. What is that thing that just makes you want to run? Because here's the thing. We lump our goal, aim, objective, intention into this one big ball and we go after it. We see that with New Year's resolutions. We're so on fire in November, December. I can't wait for this year to be over. And then January 12th. I don't know. Forget about it. Because everything really is a stretch. So when you break it down like this, all I want you to do now is forget about the risk and the die zone. Just forget about the risk and the die zone for now. All I want you to do is start taking on your stretches. Those things that you know you can do, and you're not doing them. That's it. What begins happening is this. Once you take on a stretch, what's happening? You're stepping out of your comfort zone. Guess who's going to rear its head? Here, our friend here. Wait, where are you going? I was assigned to babysit you here. Because that is its job. It's assigned to babysit you in your comfort zone. Can I take a question after? Once I'm done. Right? Fear is the gatekeeper of your comfort zone. So it's going to rear its head and say, whoa, what are you doing? Where you want to drink another glass of water? People are going to know you're trying to get fit. Really, do you really want to do that? You're going to be judged. It's going to speak to you in the language that you understand, so that it can get you back into the comfort zone. That's it. That's all its job, period. Now, what you get to do is have a different conversation with fear. You know, you see it. I see you. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I got this. And you take on your stretch. Now, it's relentless. It is tricky. It is fast. It is insidious. It will come back. If it came through the front door the first time, it's going to come through the back door and say, oh, wait a minute, you might drown drinking that many glasses of water. Just so it can get you back in the comfort zone. Again, I see you. Thank you. But I got this. And you move. That's it. That's all you do. Now, the next step that I want you to do, and it's critical, is this. You must acknowledge yourself for stepping out of your comfort zone. Many people, especially women, are waiting for the external validation. We're waiting to get to the finish line or tell somebody, what do you think? Did I pass? Did I fail? Was it good? Was it bad? I'm telling you today, when you step out of your comfort zone, and I don't care how tiny that step is, it is a win. Okay? It is a win. You must acknowledge yourself for stepping out of your comfort zone. Now, I'm not saying for how well you did it, but for doing it. Yes. So if you set out that my comfort zone is I only run 1 mile a day and my target is 5 mile stretch, and you go out there and you do 2.5 and you're like, I can't take this, I want you to acknowledge yourself. If you have a new train of thought, I want you to acknowledge yourself if it's outside of your comfort zone. Because what begins happening is when you're having a different conversation with fear and you're acknowledging yourself, guess what happens when we sit again here at WEF 2020 and say, hey, do you guys remember stretch, risk, and die? What's in your comfort zone? You're going to tell me all those things that were in your stretch zone are now in your comfort zone. Now your comfort zone is that much bigger. What was in your risk is now in your stretch. That thing that was like, is now risk. Now you have a whole new die zone to deal with. This is how you get to live more. This is how you get to fear less. This is how you get to build a solid foundation of confidence. And I hope this is helpful for you. And I invite you in the next 24 hours, check an area of your life you want to shift and come up with 2 stretches that you're going to commit to. My name is Bissy McGregor, and thank you. Oh, you want it after? Got it. After. And it's beautiful. Georgette.
All right. Welcome, 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 ladies. I'm a little bit like you. I'm so tempted to kind of go over there. I have to. So this is my comfort zone to just stand here behind this podium because I'm so like very dynamic. So
you're in the risk zone.
I'm actually, this is my risk zone. Yeah, not the die zone, but the risk zone. All right. Who here would love more joy in their life? What about more fun and freedom and fulfillment? Excellent. You're in the right place. Yeah? Let me ask you this. Who here has ever felt stuck? Has ever felt like they wanted to move forward, but they felt the fear? For whatever reason, fear of judgment, fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of what are people going to think of me, as the ladies have mentioned before. Yeah? Who's ever felt that? And be honest.
Fear of success.
Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of whatever it is, but there's fear. Yeah? Who here has ever felt like this push and pull? It's like, oh, I want to do this, oh, but I can't, oh, I want to do this, oh, but I can't. Yeah? It's that push and pull. Let me ask you though, who here has ever felt passionate about something? Yeah? So most people. I think everyone needs to put their hands up, yeah? What did that make you feel? When you felt absolutely passionate about something, what did that make you feel? Fearless. On fire. What else? Alive. Yeah? So what was that? Driven. So we're energized, we're driven, we're motivated, we're fearless. Yeah? It's like we can do absolutely anything. We can jump out of a plane. Yeah? Where we feel absolutely invincible. And I love how everything has sort of flown really well, even though we haven't sort of spoken about what we're going to talk about. So, everyone here has felt the fear, and everyone here has felt the passion and the motivation and the drive, right? So we've felt both ends of the spectrum. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, I spoke on Wednesday and I shared a little bit about my story, but for those of you who weren't here to listen, I just want to share a little bit of my story, of my journey, of where I've come from and why I get to stand here in front of you, beautiful women and handsome men today. Can't forget about the men. So, my name is Georgette Megadal. I am the Soul Igniter, right? You think, what's the Soul Igniter? Well, what I do is I set souls on fire. Not literally. Not yet, no. So I set souls on fire, and what is it that I do? Well, essentially what I do is I help you to ignite your passions. For you to discover what your passions are, and for you to live in alignment with your passions and your purpose. Right? But I wasn't always this driven, I wasn't always this sure of myself, and I wasn't always this confident. Like I stand here in front of you thinking I can speak in front of all these people, but I wasn't always this person. Yeah. But the thing is, for a long time, ever since I could remember, I've always been a seeker. I've always had this question deep within me, asking myself, what is my bigger purpose? Has anyone ever felt that? Like there was a calling deep within you, that you're here on earth for a reason. Don't quite know what that is, but there's a deeper calling. Yeah? And the thing is, as we go through life, this calling becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And the more it becomes bigger, the more we kind of go, oh. And it's like, oh, no, not ready yet, no. And I can see some laughs because we've felt that. And you wouldn't be in this room if you've never felt that, yeah? So I've always been a seeker. But what happened to me was I got married at a young age and we had kids straight away. So as you can imagine, having young kids straight away, that put a lot of financial pressure between myself and my husband. And because of this struggle, I felt absolutely torn. I was so torn because I loved being a mum. On the one hand, I wanted to uphold this image of being a good wife and a good mother. Right? And I'm Filipino, right? So my background is Filipino. So it's always been this thing about, you know, you're being a good wife, good mother, listen to your husband. Yeah? So that's ingrained in my, and I'm sure it's probably ingrained in all cultures, but it was so deeply ingrained in my culture and in my family that you listen to your husband, you do what he says. Yeah? So I felt so torn because on one hand I wanted to do that, but on the other, I wanted to spread my wings and I wanted to break free of this cage that I felt absolutely trapped in. Has anyone ever felt like that? That you wanted to just break free from everything? Yeah. So I felt trapped for the longest time because I wanted to start push and pull. Yeah. That rise and yeah. And what happened though was I believe, you may not subscribe to this, but I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. And everything in life happens for us. Not to us, but for us. Yeah? And I believe that God, universe, spirit, whatever it is that you call the higher power, I always believe that it's always giving us clues. It throws pebbles our way. Yeah? And these pebbles are thrown our way for us to listen, pay attention. Because these are the pebbles that are the things that we need to work on within ourselves, things that we need to explore, things that we need to let go of. But sometimes we don't listen. Yeah? Pebbles are thrown our way, but we don't listen. So sometimes the universe is like, you're not listening to me, so I'm going to have to throw a massive boulder your way. Yeah? And which is exactly what had happened to me. A massive boulder was thrown my way. Now in 2013, January of 2013, I had an amazing opportunity to go on a 5-day leadership cruise that was going to take me from Miami to Mexico and back. And I thought, oh my God, I've got to be on this cruise. Has someone ever presented an opportunity to you and you thought, you've just got to do it? Yeah, it's like this yes, like an absolute freaking yes. But then you stopped yourself. Or the fear came up. It's like, oh, but I can't do that. Who am I to do that? Or, oh, I can't afford to do that. Now in this instance, it was an absolute yes for me. But my husband at the time was like, you're not going on this cruise. And I thought, why the heck not? It was like, oh, you can't just leave your family for a week and a half. You can't spend all that money on yourself. You can't. He's like, oh, we could use that money for our family holiday. We could use that money to pay off our debts. I thought, yeah, we could. Absolutely, I agree, we could. But when was the last time I did anything for me? When was the last time that I took time out for me? I'm not asking for your permission. I'm asking for your support. I'm going to Miami. And I thought, oh crap. Because what happened was this was his response. He said, if you go on this cruise, I'm not going to be here when you get back. So, just a cruise for a week and a half, and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? Fear, right? It's like, oh crap, what have I just done? What am I doing? So he gave me this ultimatum that if I go, he wasn't going to be there. I thought, oh, what a predicament. Yeah, because it's like I'm putting my family on the line for a dream, for this calling, this deeper calling within me that's asking to express itself in a bigger way. But my husband's like, you're not going. But I had to just trust. So easy to say, but not so easy to do. But I had to just have absolute faith that everything was going to work out in however way it was going to, that it was going to work out for my highest divine good. So I went on this freaking cruise, and it was freaking amazing, and I had the best time of my life. I had never traveled on my own, ever. So I went on this cruise. I knew one person on this cruise, but I came home with family. Yeah, it was because it was the most amazing time. I learned so much about myself. I never traveled, and I thought, who am I to travel on my own? And I had to make friends. Like, I had to go out of my comfort zone, right? I had to take this massive risk. And I did, and boy, I had never looked back, right? So the thing is, I could have given into the fear. I could have given into the fear of, okay, well, my husband's giving me an ultimatum. All right, I could have listened to that. But I thought, no, there's a reason why I'm being called to this. And if I don't do this now, when am I ever going to stand up for myself? When am I ever going to do things for me? Am I going to let fear keep making these decisions for me? Or am I going to take back my power and do things for me that were true for me? So what happened for me, that was my death and rebirth. That was the death of the old me and the rebirth of the true me. Not the new me, but the true me. It was like, the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? So as you can imagine, 2013, that was not an easy year. Now for those, Pranay spoke about divorce and how that there is such a stigma, because it is. But whatever culture you're in, there is that stigma that, you don't get divorced. You just don't do that, especially in my culture. Filipino Catholic, you do not get divorced. So I faced judgment, not just from other people, but from within my own family. And I had such a clash between my mum and myself. Because my mum was like, why aren't you listening to your husband? You should be listening to your husband. So everything was my fault. Everything was my fault. So as you can imagine, 2013 was a massive year of breakdown, but it was also a big year of breakthroughs. Yeah? Because it was the year that I went from heartache to being the heroine of my own life. And I took back my power. I took back my power and I made a decision. The decision was that I'm never going to let anyone tell me what to do. And I'm going to stay true to me because I'm going to be the role model for my children of someone who chases after their dreams, who knows their purpose, who lives from their truth, and who stands in their power, regardless of what anyone else thinks, even if it's from your own family, right? And if I've got to be the example for them, then so be it, because I want to be that embodiment. And if I've got to live that, then it's all worth it. So that's exactly what I did. And what I started to notice that year, I thought, okay, I've got no excuses anymore, right? Because for a long time I was using my husband as an excuse. Because it was like, okay, well my husband, I can't do it because my husband's saying I can't do it. So when the universe kind of went, okay, well he's not in the picture anymore, I thought, oh crap, I've got no more excuses. And what I realized was, really the truth of it was I was the only one stopping myself. And I was using my husband as an excuse. So I made a decision to stop letting fear make my decisions. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? I started to live my passions. I started to do the things that I was passionate about, the things that I had put off for a long time. And I even got back in touch with my feminine, right? Because what happened to me in the corporate world, we become so masculine in our energy, like doing, taking action, and we forget to be the feminine. We forget to allow ourselves to receive. And so that's what happened to me. So I got back in touch with my feminine, I started doing salsa classes, and that's where I eventually met my soulmate, right? So fast forward to now, I have a beautiful, soulful partnership with my soulmate. We have 3-year-old twin girls together, and I have older kids with my ex-husband. So between the two of us, we've created a beautiful tribe. We've got a blended family. And others can choose to see that as, oh, you have a broken family. And I choose to reframe that and say, you know what, we don't have a broken family, we have an expanded family, right? It's blended, and what a beautiful experience, because they've got 2 families, not just one, they've got 2 families, right? So my message is to change that whole stigma around, you know, divorce isn't the end of life, and we're not second-hand goods, right? That was my death and rebirth, and that needed to happen to me, for me to wake up, for me to stop fearing, or to at least fear less, so that I could actually live more. But for me, it's about living your passions, because when you live your passions, when you follow what it is that is true for you, you stop caring about what everyone else thinks. Yeah, you stop caring the opinions of others. Because really, your own opinion about yourself is the only thing that matters. Yeah. So, I want to share with you, and I probably don't have a lot more time, but just 4 things, 4 key takeaways. This is my 4-step process to how to feel less and live more. Step 1 is to discover. Step 2 is to apply. Step 3, to commit. Step 4, to surrender. And I'll quickly explain what this is. Number 1, discover your passions and discover yourself. Discover what truly lights you up, and discover what's true for you. Step 2 is to apply the secret. What's the secret? Secret is simple. Whenever you're faced with a choice, a decision, or an opportunity, always choose in favor of your passions. Yeah? Because your passions will eventually lead you to your purpose. Number 3 is to commit. Because nothing changes until you actually commit, right? You might say, yeah, I'm going to make a decision to get fit. But if you don't commit and follow through, nothing's going to change. So you need to commit and take inspired and aligned action. Not just any action from fear, but inspired and aligned that's deep within you, that is true for you. And do it within 24 hours. Yeah? Step 4 is to let go and surrender, which is the trickiest part for most people, because so often we try and hold on to our dreams. We hold on to our dreams and we're like, oh, this has to happen, this has to happen, this happens to happen this way. And we forget about all the other infinite possibilities of how this thing can come